It's Monday, October 21st, 2024, and we are 14 days away from the election. Welcome to today's Make It Make Sense mini-episode. I'm Grant Herms. Today on the show, Donald Trump does a last-ditch effort photo op in Pennsylvania. The former president, known for decadence and gold plating, swapped it out for an apron and the golden arches. Donald Trump went behind the counter at a McDonald's to work the fryer.
Mr. Trump, what's your favorite thing to order at McDonald's?
I like it all. I like every ounce of it, everything. But I do like the French fries where I'll be working. I listened to Kamala. She said it was so hot. It was so hot. It was such a tough job. But don't you have a man that's been doing it for many years at the French fries, right?
I want to learn everything.
I'm going to learn how to do it right now.
So I don't know if this is the furthest thing I could imagine Trump doing or if it makes total sense. Because this is a guy, like I said, who built an entire life around the appearance of opulence and garishness. And now here he is, standing over the fry station without a suit jacket on. But on the other hand, Trump is known for his love of fast food, specifically burgers. There are several extremely widespread images of him with KFC buckets, and of course, the time he paid for dozens of fast food meals and pizzas for the Clemson Tigers football national championship team. That was then later derided as being both classist and racist, but regardless, the dude likes a burger. And outside of that, he has a long history with McDonald's in particular. I mean, he even starred in a McDonald's commercial in the 1990s and 2000s.
I put together some really impressive deals, but this thing you've pulled off, it's amazing. A big and tasty for just $1? How do you do it? What's your secret? You're a man of few words. I like that.
Got a buck? You're in luck, because you can get a delicious, beefy, big and tasty or a McChicken sandwich for just $1 every day at McDonald's.
Purple. Very, very powerful.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Anyway, Trump did this for a couple reasons. The first one, and I think probably the driving reason, is for months, Trump and his campaign have been peddling this story that Kamala Harris is lying about having worked at McDonald's when she was in college. She's made it part of her story that she tells people on the campaign trail to help working class people relate to her a little more. Right-wing trolls and the Trump campaign point to the fact that she left that job off her resume when she was applying for legal jobs, but it also just wouldn't make sense for her to put that on a resume to become a lawyer or to put a job on there that seems to have been pretty short-lived. It was just a summer gig in college, and it was 41 years ago. She said she worked at the fry station, which is why Trump went specifically to that job.
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's, how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and she talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way. She never worked at McDonald's.
Now, a friend of Harris did back up that story to the New York Times, but so far, McDonald's has ignored requests to corroborate Harris's employment history. Trump learned the ropes of the fry station and handed out several bags of food to some understandably pretty surprised people in the drive-thru. It was all, however, pretty staged. Everyone who pulled up to the window was a pretty big Trump supporter, and given the attempts on his life recently, there's no way the Secret Service was going to let some unvetted person just pull up to a drive-thru window with the former president standing there. But none of that really mattered because, really, he was there just to troll Harris. The second reason that he'd do this is for the same reason that Harris talked about it. He wants to seem relatable to people, and I just don't know if that holds water, though. Like I said before, Trump's whole image, the carefully crafted and curated throughout his entire life image, is one where he's been supposed to be this aspirationally wealthy mogul and billionaire, not a rags to riches story or even a middle class to riches story. Trump's whole thing is that he is, always was, and always will be wealthy, again, despite given what his actual business past is, but that's his whole thing. And to me, it had hints of past photo ops that were meant to show off a different side of a president or a candidate. Think Mike Dukakis in 1988 riding in a tank to offset his professorishness and his bookishness, or George H.W. Bush being amazed in a grocery store by the scanner, though that one is a little misremembered. But it wasn't so much that Trump in this case looked lost or amazed. It was just more that he was out of place. Now, Trump has even gone out of his way in the past to skip the folksier things that we see presidential candidates forced to do, like the Iowa State Fair tradition of flipping pork chops or eating phallic food for the cameras. Just last summer, he did a flyby over the Iowa State Fair in his private jet while Ron DeSantis was working the grill just to embarrass DeSantis. And then later that night, Trump got a pretty big crowd to show up to his rally without having to do all the State Fair glad-handing that other candidates have to do. But in all this, there was one moment of actual substance, not for what Trump said, but for what he didn't. Trump was asked if, after working just a little bit of a shift in a McDonald's, if he thought that the minimum wage for fast food workers should be increased. Here's what he said.
Well, I think these people work hard. They're great. And I just saw something in the process. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. He's a great franchisee. Produce a lot of jobs, and it's great. And great people working here too. Really good people.
So that's not an answer. In the past, Trump has talked about considering the raise in minimum wage, which is just his way of saying that he hasn't actually thought about it at all. He has a couple lines that he uses when he doesn't know something. One is saying that he's considering something, or he's considering it strongly or very strongly. The other is whenever he says they'll have more on that in 2 weeks. It means likely never. It's just a business filler phrase that he uses to move off of that topic. Now, some people have pointed to his and Harris's no tax on tips plans as an end run around raising the minimum wage, but advocates for restaurant workers say those plans border on insulting because they're really just a nice little bump during tax season at the end of the year rather than an actual increase to wages for everyday life. One advocate saying, quote, "It's not just the wrong solution, it's a fake solution." Now, the last reason that Trump would do this photo op has to do with what I was talking about yesterday, that Trump is exhausted and angry about people talking about it. So videos of him on his feet working a job play into the image he wants to project, that he's not tired from the whirlwind campaign and can do a job that I think anybody would agree is pretty hectic even on good days. It's that, coupled with showing him talking to supporters, people in their cars with their kids in the back seat at a drive-through window, him handing out Big Macs that he's paying for. They smile, they chat a little bit. I mean, who could think that guy is the same guy who's angry and vindictive and talking about sending the military after his opponents? He seems nice. And that's what the Trump campaign is banking on. It's been his MO since 2016, frankly, since forever. It's this thing that when a person does it in an argument to another person, it's called the Gish Gallop. It's just going from topic to topic so fast that the other person doesn't have time to catch up. In Trump's case, this is what he does with the news cycle. And because as an electorate we have the collective memory of a single goldfish, it usually works for him. And in this case, it's doing something flashy to move on from the news cycle of him calling to use the military against Democratic opponents and people he doesn't like. And then the news cycle about him being exhausted and being angrier. Now, will it work? Will he be able to replace those stories with these images of him in a McDonald's apron? Or will it end up being one of those photo ops that people talk about that having gravely harmed a campaign? I guess we'll know in 2 weeks. Okay, that is it for today's MIMS Mini. Please rate and review the show in whatever podcast app you listen to this on. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications on YouTube. You can also subscribe to the Make It Make Sense Substack, where I've got bonus content up there. And thank you to those of you who have been subscribing. I'm getting more of those little notifications every single day, and it really just kind of does warm my heart. So thank you for that. And also, please share the show on social media. That's how more people subscribe to this and all those other things. It's MIMS News Pod. That's MIMS News Pod, all one word on every platform. I am at Grant Herms on X and at Grant Herms TV on everything else. Thank you so much for listening today. I'm Grant Herms, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.